What's going on, everybody? Aaron here, helping musicians get better, faster, and what you just heard was the 2023 Florida All-State 11-12 Euphonium All-State Audition etudes. There's a lot in that description. But now that you've heard it, let's talk about what I would be listening for as a judge and some tips to help you prepare for this audition. But before we get into it, you're gonna need the music. So if you haven't done so already, consider grabbing these books. I'll have affiliate links in the description down below. The affiliate doesn't cost you anything. It just gives the channel a little bit of money for your purchase. So if you're gonna snag one of these books, would love if you could do it through that link. I will also have a PDF eventually on my website that will have the etudes on it. It's not up there as of the filming of this video. I want to get done with all the All-State video stuff before I alter the website. So if you're watching this early, consider coming back and you'll probably see a link to that either in the description or in a pinned comment. But let's dig into it. Let's start with the technical. So there's a lot of things I like about this technical, and there's a lot of things I don't. The thing I don't like as a judge is in terms of art, there's not a lot here. There's not even a dynamic. So what we're looking for is pure technique, which leads me into the decision you have to make: the tempo, as fast as technique permits. So what does that mean, and what should we do here? Well, I went 100. That's what I went for. I was doing dotted quarter equals 100. Now, I think you could bump it up to 110 and still it feel comfortable. I think it could still feel nice at 110. But with the staccatos and all of the arpeggiation and the fact that it's euphonium, and let's not mix words here. Euphonium can be stuffy. I wouldn't go too much faster, because then eventually is going to become a spitball etude. I still want to hear, and if we're going too fast, it'll be, and it just won't sound good. So don't feel like you have to go really, really fast or you're not going to win. That's not the case. Genuinely, as fast as your technique permits, and then play it really good. Play well. Don't necessarily feel like you have to play fast. I would rather hear somebody play it slow, but it sound really good. Everything's nice and in tune. Whatever articulations that are there are coming forward, and everything sounds great and a mature sound. Then somebody who plays it really, really fast and plays all the notes really, really fast, but it sounds like butt when you do it. Now, even though there are no dynamics, I would suggest pulling back your dynamic a little bit, maybe like an easy mezzo piano, something where it can still speak really well, but that you can last to every one of these rests. I honestly don't think you want to add too many little sippy breaths that are in the middle of runs or anything like that. So you're going to do your best to kind of tank up where the rests are, and then playing quieter will help you go for a little bit longer. But some tips that can help you get your technique a little bit faster, or maybe clean it up as fast as you're gonna go. The number one thing is anytime you have a B natural in these G arpeggios, go ahead and use 1, 2, 3. Don't feel like you need to use 2 and 4 to get down there. It's just gonna be faster if you can keep those 2 fingers down. I'm particularly thinking about measure 17. I play that whole thing all the way up, 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 B. I try my best to not lift these 2 fingers if I don't need to. Now that said, make sure that your arpeggios are really clean and you're hitting all the right partials. That's going to require a lot of consistent slow practice. But when you do have notes that are longer, like in measure 18, the G and then the F sharp with an accent, make sure that those are nice and in tune and also not cut off. Make sure the G gets 2/8 notes worth of beats and that 3 is an entire pickup into the next thing. I would pay special attention to 21. I have a feeling a lot of people are going to lose tempo inside of 21. That's where a lot of accidentals get put in and people trying to read as they go along. Once things get hard, we tend to pull back a little bit. So make sure that that's staying consistent in tempo. And then funny enough, pay special attention to the last note. It's 2/8 notes in length and it's also a pretty low one. Make sure your intonation's good on that low E. It's actually going to be pretty evident if it's not. But really, other than that, there's not a lot to hold on to. So it's just kind of like, get good. Sorry, I wish there was more, but that's kind of the way this one is. But for something with a little bit more art to it, let's turn now to the lyrical. Now, just like the technical, the lyrical also doesn't have a lot for us to hold on to dynamically. So I'm going to play this just a nice mezzo forte, and any art that I add, any kind of swell or anything I do, I'm going to do within the confines of that. I'm not going to go too far one way or the other. I think you can add a little bit of lift and add a little bit of intensity and all that sort of a thing and decay, but within reason. I wouldn't do too much off the page. I'm always afraid of adding too much flavor that's not written on the piece of paper because then it becomes subjective for the judge, and sometimes they might not like what we want to add. But if you do what's literally on the piece of paper, they have to roll with that because that's what's there. That's they're being told to judge. The first little trap tip I have for you is the G grace note. I think with 1 and 2 can get really messy. So I have been suggesting to some people to use 3rd valve instead. Pushing down and lifting up 2 valves is going to be a little bit messier than 1 valve. So if you have the control with your ring finger and feel like you can make that happen, it might clean it up a little bit. Now with all of these staccatos written inside of slurs, I think what that means is we're going to lift off of them, but we don't want to cut them dry. So I'm not looking for boo eat, but ba ba da da dee da 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 dee da dee da dee da, right? Still gets a little bit of value. Also, these accents are not kapow accents. We just want to make sure that they're a little bit of a pop, a little bit of a emphasis on those notes. When it comes to the section with the 8th, 16th rest, the dia, 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 try your best to not clip the 16th note so much that it becomes dry. Dia, 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 dia. And we're also not supposed to emphasize the 8th note. It's still clean and even. Dia, 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 dia. There is just a gap between beats. Also with like jumps like the C to G and the C to A, make sure that we're not doing the French horn thing where we're adding a bunch of notes in between there. We want a nice clean slur inside of those big jumps. Rallentando, we have 2 fermatas with a rallentando in the middle. Don't rallentando into the fermata to then rallentando more, and also make it nice and subtle. Da dee da dee, get slower, and then you can off 4 da da dee da dee da dee da, right? Just nice and easy with control. We want to make sure that we're not slowing down or doing anything weird before we have to. Also, use that quarter rest to reset a little bit if you need to. If you need to like exhale and then inhale and finish out the etude, use that moment. It's yours to do so. You can take a little bit of time. Don't feel like you have to rush right into the last little phrase of this etude. Now, there are a lot of intonation moments to worry about, but especially half notes, like these 2 Fs here at the end, really listen to where they're at and make sure you know where on a tuner they're going to be. If that last F is out of tune, it's kind of evident. And then you kind of have a decision to make with the F. I think it's kind of boring on the very last note to just sit on it, but I'm also afraid to add too much to it. Now in my recording, I embellish it a little bit. You can also diminuendo a little bit, but I don't think it's one of those things where you go down to niente. Like, I don't think it's that because it's not written there and I'd be afraid to do too much extra. But I do think it's awkward to just F. I think that's weird. But other than that, it's play really pretty, really nice characteristic sound, and really in tune. But that's all I've got for these 2 etudes. If you like this video, please hit that like button. And if you haven't done so already, consider hitting that subscribe button. I'm going to be able to get more content out more regularly. So if you hit that subscribe button and hit that notification bell, those videos will go directly to you. But good luck in your preparation and good luck on your audition. Again, I'm Aaron. Be happy, never satisfied. I'll see you in the next one.